So the way the Formula One team worked, there was three cars, I beg your pardon. One driver was Clark's car, of course, and then we had Graham Hill. And then the other car was a spare car. And that was the same in Formula 2. Graham Hill was a great guy, really down-to-earth person. He was just another good guy to work for. He was a little harder to work for than Jimmy because he was a little bit, I don't know, I want to say a little bit more demanding and changing things on the car. And Buckshot used to look after his Formula 2 car. The drivers on these cars back then in the 60s, they couldn't change anything other than the gears, of course. They couldn't change any of the car's settings at all. And they were, it was a lot more simpler as far as we used to change roll bars, springs, towings, cambers, all that. But what happens when you're at Lotus and you're working for something, you as a mechanic did nothing. You just took orders. And if someone would say, Jimmy would talk to Colin Chapman or Maurice Philippe if he was there and say, you know, this is happening, that's happening. And Maurice would Philippe say, well, change the camera or raise the right height, and we would get to it and do exactly that. Bob Dance went to March Engineering, which had just started up building Formula One cars with, I forget the designer's name, Robin Hurd. I asked him, I said, well, is there any vacancies over there? I mean, I'd like to go over there. And he said, yeah, he said, I'll see what I can do. So I ended up working on their Formula One team with Pete Kerr, I think his name was, a really good mechanic, New Zealand guy. And I was just second man on his car. The driver was Chris Amon. He was another really nice guy. He was a good driver, and like I said, I think he had a much better relationship with Pete Kerr because he was a New Zealander and Chris Amon was a New Zealander, so there was a little bit of camaraderie there. Bob Dance went to work for STP, running this Formula One car for Mario Andretti. How about getting me into STP? He got me this job. I immediately was sent over to Watkins Glen, where we did some testing. I think it was with Ronnie Peterson, but I'm not really sure. When we finished the testing at Watkins Glen, they sent us to Chicago, to Des Plaines, where STP had a facility. And then they decided to send the car out to Santa Monica. We prepared the car for a Tasman Series with Chris Amon again. We ended up changing the engine and from a regular 3-litre DFV to I think it was a 2.5 or something, smaller engine DFV. And after about 3 months in Santa Monica, they sent us off to New Zealand. There was 3 of us. There was Bob Dance, myself, and a guy called Will Phillips, and he was the fabricator. And Bob and I used to look after the car. There was a series of races. I think there was a couple in the North Island and a couple in the South Island. It was just a great experience. And Chris Amon drove the car. He wasn't particularly happy with the car because it didn't seem to have the power of the V8s had, the other V8s that were there. It was a very challenging series for us down there.